We used to think of, work life and personal life as totally separate things, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely. Like two different worlds.
But now with TikTok especially, it feels like those walls are just gone, paper thin.
And what you do online, just messing around on your phone, can actually hit your job hard.
Exactly. So today, we're diving into this whole trend. We're looking at a YouTube video by Busiswa. It's called Exposing People Fired Over TikTok.
Right. She compiled a whole bunch of cases.
Yeah. And our mission here is to figure out, why is this happening so much now? What kind of TikToks are getting people fired?
And what does it mean for everyone, really, in navigating your online stuff and your career?
We'll get into specific examples, try to unpack what's really going on underneath.
Okay, so the first thing that jumps out from Busiswa's video is just the sheer range of jobs involved. It's not just one sector.
No, not at all.
You've got teachers, nurses, customer service folks, delivery drivers. It's kind of everywhere.
It really suggests this is a broader thing, doesn't it? A real collision course between who we are online and our jobs.
Definitely a collision. And Busiswa points out early on that sometimes you can almost see the firing coming just from the content.
Even if they don't say, I work at X company.
Yeah, even without that. It shows how linked those identities can become.
Yeah.
What you project online sort of bleeds into your professional image.
That makes sense. The perception matters.
It really does. And Busiswa really hammers home the point. Keep your work life separate from your personal social media.
Sounds simple.
It does. But the examples show how easy it is to mess that up, maybe without even realizing it. Things just slip through.
Right. And Busiswa mentions this idea of lacking common sense. That's her term.
Yeah, people just get maybe too comfortable on these platforms. TikTok feels so casual, so easy.
You just share everything, including work stuff, without really thinking it through.
Exactly. Oversharing without seeing the potential fallout.
Which brings us to those employment contracts, the social media policies.
Oh, absolutely. Busiswa highlights that too. People need to actually read those things.
Yeah, they're not just boilerplate text. They can have real teeth.
For sure. It's interesting. Busiswa sounds disappointed by all this, but not really surprised.
She sees the behavior and thinks, yeah, I can see how this ends badly, even if it seems harsh.
Kind of, yeah. Recognizing the risks involved that maybe the person posting didn't fully grasp.
Okay, let's get into some of those specific cases she brought up, because that's where it gets really concrete.
Yes, let's do that. She sort of groups them implicitly anyway. One big area mentioned is HIPAA violations.
Right, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, protecting patient information.
Exactly. So anything that could even hint at revealing patient details is a massive red flag in healthcare.
Did she show specific TikToks violating HIPAA?
Not in detail, no. But you can easily imagine how, sharing a story, even if you think it's anonymous, could cross that line. Very risky.
Okay, then there's the more straightforward stuff.
Yeah, people basically just talking crap about their jobs, often while in uniform or with a badge visible.
That one seems less surprising.
Right.
If you're bad-mouthing your boss online while wearing their logo.
Right. It's a pretty direct link, kind of a lapse in judgment there, you'd think.
Definitely. What else?
Well, another worrying one is call center workers going live on TikTok while they're actually supposed to be working.
Oh, wow. While on the clock.
Yeah. And Busiswa notes they try to mute customer info, which shows they know it's sensitive.
But sometimes they fail.
Exactly. And that's a potential privacy breach right there. Huge liability for the company.
Okay, now the big one. The nurses. Emory University Hospital in Atlanta.
Ah, yes, the X video. That one really blew up, didn't it?
It did. They were sharing things that annoyed them about maternity patients.
Like patients asking for a shower during induction or wanting to know the baby's weight while still pregnant, stuff like that. Family requests, too.
And Emory fired them. Their statement mentioned unprofessionalism, disrespect towards patients.
Right. And Busiswa, in her video, she initially felt firing was maybe too much. Suggested suspension sensitivity training instead.
Because no patient names were used, right? So maybe not a direct HIPAA breach?
Potentially, a gray area perhaps. But then there are the counterarguments, which Busiswa also acknowledges.
Which are?
Well, the sheer insensitivity towards women in a really vulnerable state. Maternity patients.
Yeah.
And it makes you question the work ethic, the empathy of people posting that kind of thing, plus the damage to patient trust in healthcare workers generally.
That's a huge point. Trust is everything in healthcare.
Absolutely. So even without naming names, the perception created was deeply unprofessional and uncaring.
It really shows how intent doesn't always matter as much as impact, especially online. They might not have meant harm.
But the video went viral, and the perception was just bad for them, for the hospital. That digital footprint spreads fast.
Okay, what about non-medical examples? You mentioned a tech worker.
Yes, this one's wild. Someone working remotely in tech got fired over a video of spilled coffee.
Spilled coffee? How?
Because in the background audio, you could faintly hear their chief product officer speaking in a meeting that was happening.
No way. Was it like super secret information?
Apparently not really confidential and barely audible, according to the person fired, but the company cited gross negligence.
Wow. That seems intense, especially for remote work where your home is your office.
It really highlights those blurred lines, doesn't it? The company was likely worried about any internal communications getting out, even accidentally. Control, maybe?
And how did the person react?
Initial shock, Buswa said, but then kind of accepted it and decided to start their own business.
Huh. A forced career change via TikTok.
Pretty much. And it loops back to that theme of accountability Buswa talks about. Even if it was accidental, the lack of awareness had consequences.
Were there others fired just for, like, being at work on camera, even without complaining?
Yes. There was someone fired from their home club, sounded like maybe a gym or fitness club.
Okay.
They went live on TikTok, apparently after being warned not to, even though they swore they didn't film any members or anything.
So why the firing?
The perception. Just having the phone out going live in that setting was enough for the employer.
Man, perception seems to be a huge factor in a lot of these.
It really is. And another case, someone at a clinic fired for making TikToks just while wearing her uniform.
Not saying anything bad. Not naming the clinic.
Nope. Just being in uniform, making unrelated TikToks. But the uniform itself linked her personal content directly back to her employer's image.
So the uniform itself is like company property, visually speaking, online.
Kind of, yeah. It ties your personal brand immediately to their professional one, whether you want it to or not.
This all comes back to what Buswa was saying about accountability, doesn't it? And the digital footprint.
Absolutely. What you put out there, it sticks. And future employers, they often look. Past posts can definitely bite you later.
It's not just about getting fired, but maybe not getting hired down the line too.
Exactly. And Buswa adds this slightly darker angle, too.
Yeah.
The idea that sometimes maybe a coworker sees your TikTok, doesn't like it or doesn't like you, and actively reports it to get you in trouble.
Oof. Like internal sabotage via social media reporting.
Yeah, somebody at your work videoed and went and told somebody, as she put it, adds another layer of office politics to the digital world.
So you have to worry about your boss and potentially your colleagues seeing your stuff?
Seems like it. It just reinforces the need for caution, for awareness of how anything you post might land, not just with management, but sideways too.
Wow. Okay, so looking at all this, the picture emerging from Buswa's compilation is, well, it's complicated.
It really is. This relationship between our online selves and our work selves is getting trickier all the time. TikTok's just the latest, maybe most visible arena for it.
Yeah, the short videos, the viral potential.
Yeah, it magnifies everything.
And the consequences, as we've seen, can be pretty severe. Job loss is a big deal.
All right, so let's try to sum up the key takeaways here. What have we learned from this deep dive? Well, first, the line between personal online life and professional life is increasingly porous. You have to actively manage it.
Right. TikTok is a really potent example of how easily that line gets blurred, sometimes leading to really serious outcomes, like losing your job.
And we saw some common themes pop up again and again, didn't we?
Definitely. Things like perceived unprofessionalism, just how your content looks to an employer.
Insensitivity, especially in fields like healthcare, where empathy is crucial.
The risk of spilling secrets, even accidentally, like the coffee school audio case.
And just the basic need to actually know and, follow your company's social media rules. It's not just about not trashing the boss.
No, it's the whole picture your online activity paints, the overall impression.
And hopefully for you listening, exploring these cases gives you a better handle on the risks involved.
Yeah, it's about being more proactive, more mindful about your own digital self in relation to your work. Thinking before you post.
Thinking about context, audience, potential interpretations, all that stuff.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave you with. As our online identities become so wrapped up with who we are, how do we actually manage that tension?
The tension between wanting to be authentic online, express ourselves,
and meeting professional expectations so we don't end up in one of these situations. It's a tough balance, isn't it?
It really is. And maybe what role do companies play? How clearly do they need to spell out these boundaries?
Good question. It's definitely a conversation that's going to continue.